Yeah.
I want to go back to the semi thing because I think you said something very interesting, right? You said that all of the Mag 7 are starting to make their own chips, which is interesting and true. The issue is that they still are going to get manufactured most likely by TSM.
Yes.
Last week, there was some important news from this American company, the granddaddy in the semi space, Intel, that they're going to be partnering with Amazon, who's trying to design their own chip as well. I want to know your insight, Josh, because when I look at Intel, I think dinosaur. I think they haven't been innovative. They can't catch up to the nanometers of in the fabs of all the other semis. But they got the largest allocation in the CHIPS Act, so they're gonna stay alive. I want to know what is it about Intel? Why we keep saying it's a dead company, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Intel's had a lot of problems, and the irony here is Andy Grove, who's the founder of Intel, famously titled his book "Only the Paranoid Survive." Intel wasn't paranoid enough. They allowed for this massive shift in computing, this revolution in computing to happen around them without them. So Intel was the most important semiconductor stock in the world, certainly in America. It was the largest weighting in the semiconductor index. It was a Dow component. It was a quote unquote bellwether. The Pentium chip was the most important chip in the world during the PC revolution of the 80s and 90s. And one of the things about Intel's dominance is their core CPU. So the CPU is basically like the chip that carries out the most important functions of the PC, of the machine, of the server. That's a linear processing unit. So what that means is it does one operation, then it does the next operation, then it does the next operation. And that was fine for the way that we built Internet 1.0, Internet 2.0, all the PCs, all the servers. Here's what's changed. All of a sudden, when you're talking about things like augmented reality, virtual reality, the metaverse, blockchain, machine learning, AI, you cannot have linear computing and get these workloads processed in time for it to be useful to anyone. So the venture capitalists who were funding some of these early virtual reality companies and AI companies, they had to find a different version where it was not linear, one operation after another, but it was parallel processing. They needed chips that can do multiple things all at the same time. And interestingly enough, they found those chips in the most unlikely of places, video games.
Yep.
NVIDIA's business up until 2017, 2018 was like, I don't know, 90% supplying graphics chips to computers and video game consoles. So Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo and all the computer games. Parallel processing is how these video games render their graphics in real time based on moves that you're making as a player. Jensen Huang realized really early that there was something special about parallel processing that put it in a pole position for these next generation technologies in a way that Intel did not arrive at. They didn't figure this out. And as a result, they have just gone on this absolute rampage at being the chip company that every modern data center needs to build around. It's not that you don't need CPUs. Of course, you still do. The CPUs are less valuable, margins are lower, and they're less important to the future of computing. You can't do anything now without GPUs. So when you hear about hundreds of billions of dollars worth of investment in cloud data center, all of that build out is utilizing GPUs at the core, and NVIDIA has like 80-something% market share. So that's the thing that came out of nowhere that put Intel into this position of trying to play catch up. But they have so many other issues. They pivoted the business where they said, we're going to get heavy into the fab business. So that's like that's like almost like being like a blacksmith. That's what Taiwan Semi does. They're going to build clean rooms and manufacture chips. They're going to be like this industrial powerhouse that produces chips. Okay, sounded good at the time, not that sexy. It's not a high margin business. And that's the pivot that I think really set them down the wrong road. So while the whole world was focused on parallel processing, Intel's like, oh, we're going to build a smokestack and we're going to borrow money from the government to do it. Or we're going to get a government grant in the CHIPS Act. It was not a great strategy. They had a CEO step down. I think there was like a sexual harassment thing.
Yep.
They've made so many missteps. It's not clear what the road back will be. And it's not that there's no opportunity in the stock at all. It's that there are too many other exciting things happening at companies like Broadcom, and you guys mentioned ASML,
AMD,
and Micron,
CPUs.
and AMD. There's just like nobody's even looking at Intel right now. They might turn themselves around somehow. I just don't know technologically how that's going to happen and what the timeline is on that. So it's not really on my radar as an opportunity, even though the stock's in a substantial drawdown.